What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As you can see, my hair is getting kind of unruly, and I'm not used to growing my hair out this long, so we're going to be using our little ghetto pick right here just to kind of puff it out just a tad bit. But I'm coming at you from the Speedway in Bakersfield, California. It's on exit 117 on the 58. Got a nice little taco truck across the street, plus a washout. I've been here a couple times. I think the last time I came here has been about 2 years ago, but I'm delivering right down the street about a mile away tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'll probably get over there about 7, something like that. But I picked up this load from Utah, and I'm not sure if this helped or anything, but when I'm always talking about communication and all that stuff with your fleet manager, or building a relationship with your fleet manager, you know, it's situations like this that I think may have actually helped me a little bit. You know, Utah has been kind of a dead market lately. A lot of times you deliver a load out in Utah and they're deadheading you across to Colorado or something like that. And I kind of got screwed when I was in Laredo, Texas, doing a favor, not necessarily for my fleet manager, but for a weekend fleet manager. You know, can you pick up this local load and drop it off? Anyway, I sit out there like 28 hours at the receiver, so I missed out on a load I was supposed to get going up to Michigan. And I kind of like that load. I kind of like that area, so I was a little frustrated about that. And then I got this load pre-planned on me. Sent a message to my fleet manager and said, hey, listen, I know freight's not strong in Utah, but you got to hook me up. After everything I went through in Laredo, you've got to find me a load coming out of there. I really don't want a deadhead out of there. And I said, as a matter of fact, there's a load that comes out of Springvale, Utah, going to Gaffney, South Carolina. You know, that'd be a great load. I didn't get that load, but I got this one coming out to Bakersfield, so I'm cool with that. Since the weather's cooperating, as of right now, looks like I got a little bit of a window. So, getting back to my hair, the reason my hair is this long is I have been out for a lot longer than I really wanted to be out, and the problem is everything that can go wrong with me has been going wrong with me. You know, took a little while to get this newer truck to come in and get up and running and get traction and all that kind of stuff. That truck went down, had to go in the shop for like a fuel injector situation. And just a few other things. It hasn't been the freight or the rates or anything like that. It's just been, you know, dumb stuff like that. So as soon as he gets up and running, Myra, who never takes any time off, she's like, hey, boss, wait, how did she put it? She said, her accent cracks me up. Oh, hey, boss, I'm exhausted. I'm going to take a week off. I was like, all right, cool. So she takes a week off. As soon as she comes off of home time, she's having a transmission fault code. Now, this is the same issue that I've heard. I've actually heard more people with Freightliners have this issue than Peterbilts. But it seems to be the same situation where there's the right gear shift stock mixture. Steering wheel needs to get, you know, well, I guess they're going to send it out and replace it or something like that. But, you know, so she's been down a week, and then she's going to be down about another week. So it's just like I cannot seem to get any traction. And, you know, I oftentimes hear people say, how much money do you need to, you know, go lease, or how much money do you need to, you know, have multiple trucks? And one thing I can tell you right now, you can't have enough money. It's ridiculous. Every time I think I'm about to get even again, I get beat back over the head. So nothing stays the same, everything changes. So, I kind of prepared myself for worst case situations and stuff like that, but I don't even think that my preparation could have been as like, I would never have expected to have this much of an issue. But just like things got bad, things will get better as well. It's like I said, I'm not seeing it from a freight standpoint. I'm not seeing it from those issues. I mean, I did have a talk with, my drivers and said, listen, just take what if you don't want to load, don't take it. But, the pickings might be a little bit slim, but we have a good fleet manager. He's been doing good by me. It's just I got to get this traction going. So anyway, I just want to talk about some stuff. Everybody says not everybody, but some people say I don't talk about anything. So I wanted to just, talk about nothing in regards to the trucking industry. I had somebody ask, why I moved. Well, they didn't know that I was from Colorado before I moved back, but they asked why I moved out to Colorado. They thought that I lived in California, which I did, but I grew up in Colorado. So here's what kind of led me to Colorado. I was out in the Marine Corps out in California, like 88 to 91. I got out of the Marines and got out and started selling cars out there. And I've been selling cars for a while, and I was living in this neighborhood called North Park. Now, right now, I'm not even sure if you could touch anything in North Park for less than 850 grand. Even like condos are like way up there. But it wasn't necessarily the place to be back then. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't what it is now. And the first thing that made me really start thinking about moving to Colorado was I knew even back then that I was going to want to buy a house of my own. And I started looking at all these prices back then. And I think back then they might have been like $300,000 for a house or somewhere in there. Maybe $150,000 for a condo, which back then was like a lot of money. So that was kind of in the back of my mind. I was getting some work done at the dealership I worked at on my car, and they gave me a car to take home. Took the car home. Somebody broke the window and stole the damn stereo. Now, this wasn't no excellent stereo. This was like a regular run-of-the-mill, like stock stereo system in the car. So I ended up getting really kind of pissed off about that. Really wasn't thinking about leaving at that point yet, but it was just another thing that kind of stacked up to it. And trust me, I love San Diego to this day, and I loved it even more when I was living there. It wasn't because this whole commie California, or whatever that bullshit is people say. Commufornia, whatever that dumbass should be. No, San Diego's the shit. So anyway, a few months go by, and I get a knock on the door from my roommate. Now, my roommate at that time is the guy that's in the car, or is in the trucking industry right now. So he's been a truck driver since 94. And he was in the Marines at the time. He stayed in a little bit longer than I did. But I get a knock on my door, and he's like, "Hey, Lyle, you need to come downstairs. Somebody stole your car." I'm thinking the guy's fucking with me, because we had underground parking, all this stuff. Go downstairs, and what they had done, and this is partially his fucking fault. This was back then. Everybody talks about loud stereos now. Back then, loud stereos were like really loud stereos in cars. But he used to always drive around and have this loud ass stereo system. So what I'm assuming is somebody that heard his stereo system said, all right, we're about to get that. So they waited for somebody to pull into underground parking, I'm assuming, went down there to steal the stereo out of his car, which they did. Then they our cars used to have to park tandem. So my car was parked in front of his at this point. His dumb ass left the keys to my car in his glove box. So they're like saying, oh shit, we can steal this guy's car. So they broke his, like, I don't know what they did, but they moved his car out of the way, stole my car since they had the keys in it. And then I had a motorcycle at the time. Told you I was wasting money trying to keep all you youngins from doing the same thing. But I had a motorcycle at the time, GSXR 750, and they tried to steal that, but they couldn't steal that for some reason. But once that happened, I made up my mind that I was just gonna leave. So probably no more than a month from then, I told my boy, this is a truck driver now, my roommate, I told him I was gonna bounce. I think I paid him a month advance in rent and gave him all the furniture because I bought the furniture. And I called up somebody I knew in Colorado to drive my... Well, anyway, 2 weeks later, I found my car. Or I didn't find it. It was an impound lot. But I did end up getting the car, got the car, called somebody from Colorado to drive the car out. I drove my motorcycle out there. Drove a GSXR 750 sport bike all the way from San Diego, California to Colorado in 18 hours, baby. No stops, no nothing. I mean, no, like, you know, hours of break or anything like that. It took me probably about 4 days to be able to walk after that drive. Once I was able to get walking again, went to a dealership, asked for a job. That's where I ran into the guy that hired me, which was the guy that was the former drug dealer. So if you watched any of my other videos, he was the guy that I said was the drug dealer that went on the straight and narrow, that was making so much money back in the 80s that he had to weigh the money instead of count it. So might get into that story about nothing one of these days, but that's how I ended up in Colorado for the most part. Probably for a good 2 years. Once I got out to Colorado, I was like, I might have been clinically depressed for 2 years because, you know, you leave that San Diego weather and you kind of forget what it's like to be dealing with snow and all that stuff. And, you know, the snow and all that was fine in the winter, but then when you think it's over with, it'd be like April and you're like, got the snow behind you, then it snows. It was just very demoralizing. But anyway, that was how I got out to Colorado. I think another reason I just thought about this whole my boy drug dealer situation was he ended up getting pulled over in Cortez, Colorado with a bunch of weight on him, and he ended up, I think I'll tell that in my next story, but he ended up almost going to jail for a long time. But he was kind of moving weight for some people that were very serious, and that never ended up going to trial because the officer was not able to make it to trial. But anyway, enough about that. I'm gonna come back here and relax. I appreciate you guys stopping by. No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As always, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.